I commend this bill to the House.
The question is that the motion
Mr.
be
Speaker.
agreed to. The Honourable Annette King.
Mr. Speaker, this bill should be called the National Party Deception Bill, or perhaps the Broken Promises Bill, or maybe the Destruction of Democracy Bill. Instead, it's called the Environment Canterbury Temporary Commissioner's Improved Water Management Amendment Bill. It sounds reasonable, doesn't it? But it is part of a National Party plan, a pattern and an agenda against local government in New Zealand. It's yet another attack on local democracy, and it follows a pattern that has emerged from the Local Government Amendment Bill currently before the Select Committee. And I realise that bill is not the current Minister's bill, but he must have been worried to inherit a bill that was based on myths, false figures and a handful of egregious examples. And now we have this bill with its fancy title. But what is the reason for it? Well, why won't the Minister release the report that this bill is based on? We've got a regulatory impact statement. That is going to be the evidence we're going to use for this bill. But the Minister has refused to release the report. Why, Minister? What has the Minister got to hide? What has the government got to hide that they cannot release a report that is making such a significant difference in an area that has already been struck with so many decisions that lack democracy? So where is the evidence for the need for this bill? Even his own government department's regulatory impact statement states in paragraph 97, given the progress made by the Commissioners, there is no apparent reason for continuing this level of intervention, which was used in response to ECAN's previous serious systematic dysfunction. So his own regulatory impact statement says the extension of the Commissioner's term would continue to deny Canterbury residents the opportunity to vote for representation on ECANs. And it says there is no apparent reason for continuing with the current arrangement. Even if the Commissioners themselves, the very people appointed to run this organisation, said that they would prefer an option that was a transitional option, one that transitions back to democracy. But let's step back a little and look at the promises the government made to the people of Christchurch. On the 31st of March in 2010, the then Minister Nick Smith decided to get rid of the 14 elected members and replace them with 7 appointed members. This bill, he said, will empower Commissioners to rapidly bring the region's resource management framework into life and solve the problems. That was said 2.5 years ago. And we accept there's been earthquakes in Canterbury. But what this Minister has done is to add another 4 years to the rapid change that's happening and meant to happen in Christchurch. So we end up with around 6.5 years in the transition back to full democracy in the Canterbury region. But let's just remind the House what the then Minister said. He said this: but whatever the circumstances, the next regional council elections in Canterbury will take place no later than those scheduled for late 2013s. No ifs, no buts, Mr Carter, from your previous Minister. He said whatever the circumstances, the election will take place no later than 2013. And I read the Minister's response to questions from my parliamentary colleague Grant Robertson last week, where we saw the reinterpretation of what Minister Smith had said. A broken promise is a broken promise. It was a promise that we now know was based on a lie. You see, the government has a plan to reduce local democracy in local government. And you only need to look at this bill to see ministerial muddling in just about everything. This bill is anti-democratic. There will be no election in 2013, as promised, and the people of Canterbury went out and they believed the government that there would be an election. They accepted what was happening because there was going to be an election. Will continue to be no appeal of Commissioners' decisions to the Environment Court, looking at the decisions that's been made by those Commissioners. There has been no consultation with the Canterbury community, and the regulatory impact statement is very strong on this point to the Minister. It said to the Minister it restricts the ability to present a community view because there was not community consultation. In fact, even Treasury were upset at the lack of consultation, and Treasury said that they didn't believe there'd been enough consultation with other stakeholders, particularly with government departments. So there has been no Crown-led consultation process with Canterbury stakeholders and the communities. Well, didn't we just have a debate around the lack of consultation and the roughshod way the people of Canterbury are being treated? Surely, Minister, you must, if you live in the area and have any idea of what's happening in your community, the Minister would have known that one thing you would have done was to gone out and consult over this bill to remove democracy until 2016. So there was no consultation. This bill, the Minister said, is going to provide effective, efficient, stable governance. It will support the earthquake recovery and provide leadership. Well, Minister, let me tell you what your message is to Cantabrians. None of them are capable of providing effective, efficient, stable governance. That's the message to Cantabs. None of them are able to provide that. The next message is they're all incompetent, conflicted, mentally unstable or dumb, because none of them are capable of being able to be elected to a body to continue the work that's been done by the Commissioners. That's the message to Cantabrians. It also tells the Cantabrians none of them have leadership qualities. You see, everything I am telling this House is the reason why the Minister said we needed this bill, but no Cantabrian have those skills. They're not capable. It's not possible for them to do this job. It has to stay in the hands of a few Commissioners. What an insult. And I say to Cantabrians, they ought to rise up and tell Carter he's wrong. He is wrong. Why doesn't he consult? Why doesn't he release the information? Why does he not give the people of Canterbury an opportunity to have management over their own affairs? The bill enables the Commissioners to adopt a second-generation land and water plan and fully implement it. Why not let the local people adopt the second-generation plan? It should be work this work should be completed by October 2013, and the work that's carried on should be done by the local people themselves. In fact, Minister, read your own regulatory impact statement, because the regulatory impact statement said the Commission had addressed the systemic problems within ECANS. It said they had addressed the problems, and now we hear from the Minister that we must continue on with the arrangement we have. So this bill does require the Minister to review it in March 2014. Why not start reviewing it in October 2012 and ready this organisation for election in October 2013? If the real agenda is for amalgamation of Canterbury councils, put it on the table now, because I suspect that is the real agenda. Amalgamations of councils across Christchurch. It's been reported to us that this is the government's agenda, and delaying it till 2016 enables them to put in place a structure for amalgamation. Well, we say that this bill is unnecessary. He could have come back, the Minister could have come back with an arrangement as proposed by his own department, a transitional option, one that would have some elected and some appointed, something that Nick Smith, his former minister, said on the 2nd of July this year that he supported, that Federated Farmers supported, that Fish and Game Council supported. It would have been a short-term fix. It couldn't have been permanent because, unlike the DHBs that get government money, the money for regional councils come from local people, and local people should be making local decisions. We will not support this bill.
Nicky Wagner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to take a call